and I'm a pilot. I've always been interested in the different modes of transportation in the air, from airplanes to hot air balloons and helicopters. Since I'm a pilot, let's start by talking about airplanes. First of all, there are many different types. The most common are commercial transport planes that carry passengers or cargo. There are also smaller aviation planes, and also military and seaplanes. I myself fly a very large commercial aircraft. Have you ever wondered how such heavy planes can fly without falling down? After all, if you throw a ball in the air, it falls down because of gravity. There are 4 forces that interact with the plane: lift, thrust, weight, and drag. The engine's power and thrust help the plane lift and go upwards. When the plane flies forward, there is also a certain resistance of the air, and this is called drag. Of course, the Earth's gravity pulls the plane down, and weight is the force created in this process. When the thrust of the engine is bigger than the drag, the plane can move forward. Also, when this forward motion is strong enough to produce a force of lift that is greater than the weight, the plane can move upward. Most of that force of lift comes from its wings. Basically, as long as the plane continues to move forward quickly enough, the plane continues to fly and will not fall. Let's look more closely at how this thrust movement is created. There are 2 basic kinds of airplanes: jet planes and propellers-driven planes. I fly a jet plane, which does not have propellers. Instead, it has jet engines that give it power. The fuel inside the engines burns and creates heat, and forces gas out of the back at high speed. This is what propels the plane forward. The plane that I fly has jet engines. You can see them on the bottom of the wings. There are also propeller-driven planes, which, as you can guess, use propellers that rotate very quickly. These are powered by engines as well. Each propeller has 2 or more blades, and when they spin, they create a forward-moving thrust. Propellers are usually made out of metal and are located at the front of the plane. What about other vehicles that fly? I'm sure you all know what a helicopter is. They also use their propellers, and these blades are referred to as the rotor. They are located at the top of the machine, and along with the engine, they lift the helicopter up. As the blades spin and cut through the air gets pushed down, causing the helicopter to move upwards. Helicopters can do some things that planes can't. For example, they can go backwards and can take off and land without a runway. Helicopters can even land on the roof of a building. They can also hover in the same position, whereas a plane needs to be moving or else it will fall. Helicopters can get to remote areas like the mountains, and they are sometimes used to rescue people. Hot air balloons are yet another interesting mode of transportation in the air. These don't have engines, so what makes them fly? Well, it has to do with density and temperature. They have a gas burner that is used to heat the air to a temperature of 212 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees centigrade, which is very hot. Hot air is less dense and lighter than cold air. So, when the air inside the balloon is hotter than the air outside, it rises. Once the air inside the balloon cools down, it goes back down. Out of airplanes, helicopters, and hot air balloons, which one do you think was invented first? If you guessed hot air balloons, you are right. They are the oldest flying technology, invented in 1782 by the Montgolfier brothers. After this, the first airplane was invented by the Wright brothers in 1903. Lastly, helicopters were created in 1936, but only became successful a bit later on thanks to inventor Igor Sikorsky. It takes people with imagination and intelligence to design such extraordinary machines. As you can see, there are many ways to get around in the sky. You may be afraid or nervous when an airplane takes off or hits some turbulence in the air. However, there is nothing to worry about, as all aircrafts are very safe. Also, the men and women who operate them train and practice for years. Generally, every pilot needs to earn a license, which gives them the right to fly. I got my license 10 years ago, and flying is my favorite thing in the world.